Brace yourself. Get it passed up anytime now. Collect yourself. Does it ever be the same in that sad world? Walk around the light a bit, trying to make the pieces fit to a puzzle with a million missing pieces. When I'm feeling fine is when I discover that I'm afraid to blow my cover, and there's something very wrong with this. So sit back in your hole.
Hello, I'm Mr. Childers, and I am thrilled to welcome you to AICE Classical Studies at Four Corners Upper School. In this course, we take a deep dive into the history, culture, literature, storytelling traditions of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, the foundational cultures of our civilization, of Western civilization. I think I'm not exaggerating in the slightest to say that choosing to take this course with us this year is the greatest decision anyone has ever made in the long and storied history of ever. So congratulations are in order to you. This specific video is intended especially for people who are part of this class but are not able to be with us on the first day of school, including those who might transfer into the course later on in the school year. If that's not you, if you are part of our class but are going to be with us on the first day of school or were with us on the first day of school, well, of course, you're welcome to stick around, watch the video, and preview what you're in for, but you're certainly under no obligation to do so. All right, let's talk a bit about what this class is all about. AICE Classical Studies. Perhaps you've taken several AICE classes with us in the past, or perhaps this is your very first one. Well, what the heck does that mean? So AICE stands for Advanced International Certificate of Education. The AICE program is a program of advanced level coursework that takes you deeper into the material that you're studying, that gives you a richer experience of learning, that offers you more opportunities to be independent and take real ownership over your own intellectual formation. The courses are often called Cambridge courses, and that is because they are affiliated with Cambridge University in the United Kingdom. Cambridge University, founded in 1209, so it has a year or two on our own Four Corners Upper School, founded in, let me double check. Four Corners, I hate my fingers, they touch like 6 numbers at a time. Four Corners Upper School in Davenport, Florida, United States of America, Osceola County, was founded, yes, after 1209. So you have in 1209 versus us after 1209. I'm glad I could clear that up for you. And I'm sure you're glad that watching me do so is how you're spending this time right now. One of the major benefits of taking AICE courses, whether you take only this one or you take the full everything we have on offer, is that AICE courses offer you the opportunity to get a running start on your college education. Every AICE course, when completed successfully, including the exam that comes at the end of the course, awards you, normally this course is 3 college credits, and the majority of them are 3 college credits. Some courses may differ a little bit in that. AICE courses come in 2 varieties. There's AS level, or advanced subsidiary, and the A level, or the advanced. The way we structure the courses here at Four Corners, the majority of courses we offer, including this one, are AS level, so they're simply 1-year courses. Most of those courses do have a year 2 component available out there somewhere, but we don't do very many of those. This course, Classical Studies, though, while you are in year one AS level right now, we are currently offering the opportunity to move forward to year two, the A level. If you complete both year one and year two, that gives you 6 college credits. Typically, college graduation requires about 120 credits. You'll see a little bit of variation from school to school, from state to state, but only a little bit of variation, because really it's important that no matter where you get your bachelor's degree from, it means roughly the same thing. If I'm opening up a college and giving degrees for that only require 4.5 credits, and the college up the road is giving degrees that require 10 trillion credits, well, then the degrees aren't worth the paper they're printed on. So you can expect to have to complete about 120 credits in order to earn a bachelor's degree in college. ACE courses typically offer 3 credits per course. Now, here in the state of Florida, every university in Florida is required by law to accept up to 45 ACE credits in transfer. And that's more than a third of your college education. When you couple that with the other college opportunities that we offer here at Four Corners, the dual enrollment opportunities, in the dual enrollment program, you can either study online with Valencia and other universities and earn high school and college credit at the same time, free of charge, or you can take your college courses right here on campus with Embry-Riddle University or Southeastern University. I'm also an adjunct professor for Southeastern University, and as of recording this video, I currently teach 2 of their courses here on campus. The result is that as of when I'm recording this in 2024, for a hardworking student, it is not at all difficult to complete a third of your college education free of charge by the time you have graduated high school, which is a savings of years of your time and thousands of dollars of your money. So if you're in a position as a high school student where you are prepared to do this, there may be some who aren't there, and that's okay because you're not yet college students. But if you're in a position where you are prepared to take on that responsibility, to rise to that challenge, you can therefore save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars. Our ever expanding college offerings here at Four Corners is the program I'm most excited about at our school. And by taking this ACE course, you are participating in that program. In May of 2024, one of our graduates, only one, but one was actually able to simultaneously complete her associate's degree, which means this student walked out of this school with her high school diploma and half of her college education already completed without having to spend a nickel, and being 17 and a half or 18 years old. As of 2024, completing a full half of your college education with us here, there's a reason there was only one. That's still not easily done. If you're a sophomore or junior, we may build the program by the time you graduate where that becomes more and more likely. All right. So enough of the sales pitch. You don't really need the hard sell because you're already here. Let's talk a bit about what we do in this course. This course has 3 main components to it. 2 of those components you can think of as an honors level high school experience, and the 3rd component is the college experience. Let's take a look at what those components are. The first component is what we do together in class as a large group. And after we lay some basic foundational work in the first few weeks on history and culture and related topics, we spend most of our time together as a large group exploring the mythical tradition of the ancient Greeks. We look at the stories that have been told for centuries and for millennia of the mighty, diverse, fascinating gods of the ancient Greeks and Romans. Later, when Roman civilization emerges, they They, in large part, simply adopt Greek religion as their own. So we look at the tales of the Greek gods, including especially the tales of those gods' interaction with human beings. Our main focus is on this massive epic saga of the Trojan War, especially as told by Homer in his Iliad and his Odyssey, the Iliad being the first great work of literature in Western civilization and the greatest work of literature of all time, if you ask me, which you have not. So we do that together as a large group, and we have a lot of fun with that. It's something I've gotten a lot of good feedback from students in the past. You will fall in love with these characters. The second component is an independent research component. Every student in this course will conduct 2 independent research projects. And you'll, in a few days, you'll get the opportunity to choose when you conduct these projects. So you'll conduct projects in 2 of our 4 quarters, and you'll be able to choose which of those quarters you prefer to work in. If you like to front load and get things over with, you may want to choose quarters 1 and 2. If you're a procrastinator, you may be tempted to choose quarters 3 and 4, but you will have that choice. We'll speak in a few days in more detail about specifically what you'll be researching, but you'll be able to choose your own topic, provided that it's related to the classical world, that is ancient Greek and Roman civilization. Or this can be our opportunity to look beyond the narrow confines of Europe and do a project related to the ancient world outside of Europe. Or you might look at a work of medieval literature a little later, a little closer to our own time, but a work of literature that's rooted in what we call orature. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. We'll talk about orature. It's the name of one of our very first lessons in the course. We'll get into more detail on these projects in the first, within a week or so into the class. However, you're welcome to read the full instructions for the projects are already posted on Schoology. I will say, as you're considering, and you don't have to make a commitment until the second week of the class, when you're considering the quarters in which you want to do your projects, I do strongly suggest, but I don't command, but I strongly suggest that seniors avoid choosing a 4th quarter project. When you're on your way out the door, and senioritis is kicked in, you don't want to be doing deep dive research project in April of your senior year, unless you do. So that's a suggestion, not a commandment. The research projects normally come in one of 2 formats. You get to choose. You can compose a research paper of 8 to 10 pages in Chicago style format. I'll also accept MLA format. If you're not familiar with those right now, that's okay. I'll provide resources to help you structure your paper according to those styles. Alternately, you could present the findings of your research in an interactive symposium. You'll essentially teach the class for 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever works for you. You will lead the class of discussion, sharing the findings of your research and benefiting everyone in the room. So paper or symposium, 2 projects each year during quarters of your choice. The third component, and this is the college level component, you'll engage in 2 long-term small group in-depth research projects, primary source-based research into Alexander the Great and Augustus Caesar, 2 of the most important and influential figures in all of human history, and certainly in the history of Western civilization. We'll go into more depth at the beginning of the second week of class of what is involved in these research projects, of what materials you'll be required to master, what topics you'll need to learn about, how you will collaborate with other people in the groups. What I want you to keep in mind before you even take a look at what's expected of you, that when you look at what's expected of you and you're tempted to have a heart attack and say, how can I do all this? Remember that this is a year-long process or a 9-month, a course-long process. So yes, there's a lot of material you're required to master, but you have 9 months in which to do it. You have a team that you are working with, and I'm here to guide you any way I can. We'll say a lot more about this at the beginning of the second week of the course. What I want to emphasize going into it is that this is your opportunity to shine and to surprise yourself with what you are capable of. And if you give yourself over to it, you will surprise yourself with what you are capable of. Nobody is in this class on accident, and everyone who is in here is fully capable of doing this. You will need to be independent to take ownership over your own research, ownership over your own education and academic and human formation here. And you'll need to develop and master the skills of self-advocacy. That is, when you are having difficulty, when you're struggling, when you don't understand something, standing up, stepping up and saying, Mr. Childers, I need help with this. Speak up for yourself. This is not the kind of class where I'm giving you nuisance assignments every other day. There are a handful of assignments in the first quarter, and then they are very few and far between to free yourself up to focus on these research projects. Which means the only way I know you're struggling, if you are struggling, is either if you tell me or at the end when you have failed, which I don't anticipate happening. So if you speak up, if you let me know what I can do to help you, if you take advantage of the resources I provide you, you are being set up for one of the greatest experiences of your academic life, one of the greatest successes of your academic life. But you've got to take ownership of that yourself. In late October or early November I'm recording this video in 2024. So of 2025, there's a misprint on your screen. Anyway, like more than a year from now, late October, early November of the coming school year, not the one we're starting right now, but next school year, you will sit down and take an exam. The exam will cover everything you researched during this course about Augustus and Alexander. Upon passing that exam, you'll be awarded your 3 college credits. So you have more time than a school year, more time than a calendar year to prepare yourself for this exam in order to ensure you the greatest chance of success. We'll say a lot more about Alexander and Augustus as the course moves forward. Just so you know what you're seeing in this picture, they're about 300 years separate the two. Alexander the Great Macedonian Greek conqueror, and Augustus Caesar, 300 years later, the first emperor of Rome. Augustus visited the now lost tomb of Alexander the Great, and he had them open it up for him. And there was Alexander's mummified corpse, and Augustus had the corpse of Alexander dressed in fine robes, placed a crown of gold on his head, and then accidentally broke his nose off. So Alexander the Great, or Augustus Caesar, in addition to being the first emperor of Rome, is the all-time champion of I got your nose. What I'll have you do for the rest of this video is I'll let you sit in on the first day of class from a prior year so you can get a taste of what we are all about. And I look forward to working with you for the rest of this school year. This Coca-Cola Classic. We'll go random order. So cola. What's cola? Manny says koala bears.
No, polar bears.
Oh, polar bears. Polar bears. Yes, it's made of polar bear blood. From the ads. Honestly, I meant to look up and figure out what the specific definition of cola is. Diabetes, okay? And then I didn't. Like, what are the actual ingredients that make something a cola? But then I didn't look it up. So, Vlad, you know, or you have something to say? Yes. Yeah. Yes, how about the coca? What does the coca and Coca-Cola mean? Leah?
Cocaine.
Cocaine, yes. The magic ingredient when Coca-Cola debuted in the 1800s was cocaine. Well, we're not here to talk about cola. We're not here to talk about cocaine. But we are here to talk about the classics. What do you think of when you hear that word classic? Leah, come up. Yes, you are. Come. You only have to do that on days when I'm taping on Zoom, but that's the only way the tape will pick you up. Yes. I won't film much in this class because nobody likes Maggie. Leah, what do you think? What do you think of when you hear the word classic?
Like old style medieval, like the classical ballrooms and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay, so old style. Medievals. Old style, that was the beer my dad drank when I was growing up. You know, Middle Ages. What do you think about when you hear classics, Aiden?
Old.
Old, okay. Matthew?
Something like well-known and well-used, like...
CC is exactly where the camera is.
Well, I wasn't sure where to stand. Is good.
That's fine.
Okay.
How will you ever figure out where to stand?
It's weirdly pointed. So something like old...
You're weirdly pointed.
It's like pointing all over there.
No,
So-
arms in the picture. That's fine.
Yeah, see, I'm here. Do you want me to sit more closer? There. So something like old, well-used, like just used a lot. No.
Old, well used, well known.
Yes. Do I have to say more? Like, I think I'm just going.
Yeah. In the academic world, the classics have a very specific meaning. Classical studies is a field of humanities that studies ancient Western culture with a special focus on Greece and Rome, especially through primary sources. When I say, and I'm getting ready to have my heart broken here, when I say it's a field of humanities, what do I mean by that? What are the humanities?
Modern philosophy.
Well, philosophy is part of it. Leah? Cooper?
I'm good. Thank you.
Miss Leah Cooper here has, so where'd you go? There you are, has something to say. Where are the humanities?
I don't know. People?
She said that the humanities, Leah got this exactly right. Leah Cooper, she said, the humanities are aspects of human society, or disciplines that study aspects of human society and culture, the knowledge of which is intrinsically.
Thank you.
So's your face. The humanities is liberal arts, includes things like literature, history, languages, social sciences, philosophy, Aiden said, and yes, in my humanities class, we are very heavily focused on philosophy. Those are the humanities. Well, classical studies is one of the humanities. It's the humanities discipline that focuses on ancient Western culture with a special focus on Greece and Rome, especially through primary sources. And you may see that and you may wonder this. Why? Who cares? Why should I care about ancient Greece and Rome? And maybe you do care. Maybe that's why you signed up for the class. But let's try to answer this. Let's try to answer this by diving right into the middle of it. Okay? So we're just going to plop in. We're going to meet one important figure from the classical period, so we can see what he has to tell us. Does anybody recognize this guy? It's not, but you're in the right ballpark. You're in the right ballpark. It's not Alexander either.
Is he Roman?
He's Roman. He's Roman. Yeah. So what you're looking at is the most powerful man in the world at his time. Alexander would have been the most powerful man in the world at his time. This is just a different time. His full name is Imperator Caesar Trajanus Adrianus Augustus. In English, we would say Hadrian.
That's it.
Now,
No more.
maybe this word that I pronounce with its Latin pronunciation, with the bad Chicago accent, that we would normally say Caesar, is a flashing red light. Ooh, this guy's probably a big deal. And anyone know what imperator means? Emperor. Lee got it? Lee got it? Emperor. So you're looking at a dude here. He lived from 76 to 138, not 1976. He was born in the year 76. Lived to the year 138. The town of Italica in Hispania. What does Hispania sound like? Sounds like Hispanic. Okay. And it sounds like Spain. And you're both right. So Hispania is the name of a Roman province in Europe, the same place that today we call Spain. The reason people from countries that predominantly speak the Spanish language are called Hispanic is because the Hispanic or the Spanish language developed in the province of Hispania. From 117 to 138, Hadrian ruled as the 14th emperor of Rome. What you see here is an aerial shot of his summer vacation home. A lot of it's in ruins, but Vlad says, yes, it's nice. It's one of the places Vlad goes on 53 vacations a year. Maybe one of them someday you'll go to Hadrian's villa. There's another shot.
He said, yeah, I'd love to spend my time.
And as you look at, and apparently I couldn't find a more distorted picture. I need to find, because that would be, you can tell that would be a beautiful picture if it weren't so pixelated like that. There's another shot. So, when I look at this, or when you look at this, somebody who's got this place as their backup house, as their summer vacation home to visit when they feel like, what do you automatically know or can at least reasonably guess about that person? McGarrett said it, they're rich. They're rich. Yeah, I mean, this is his backup house, and it's nicer than any place I've ever been. Right? I couldn't afford to look at this place out the window driving by it. And that tells you that Hadrian had money. Giant piles of money. We already know he had power. Now we know he's got a giant pile of money. So we might conclude from just this little bit of data we have on him that perhaps in the Roman Empire, money and power are connected. Does that seem like a reasonable guess?
Yes.
Very different than life today, right? No? Oh, you wait, you think that money and power are still connected?
Yes.
So that those of us that don't get to just swim in giant piles of cash, we might not have as much control over our own destinies as those who. Well, let's test it out. Let's test it out. Let's look at some powerful people today and see if they're loaded the way Hadrian was loaded, or if they're just average, everyday, working class stiffs like you and me. So here are the 6 living presidents of the United States. Jimmy Carter here. He's still alive. Yes, he is the longest living president ever. He's 96. He was president when I was born. The 2 after him are dead, but he's still going. He just celebrated his 75th wedding anniversary. What are these dollar figures? Well, that's their net worth. Ballpark of what kind of money they got sitting in the bank. Yeah. Jimmy Carter's got about $10 million. Bill Clinton, $75 million. George W. Bush, $39 million. Barack Obama, $40 million. Donald Trump, $2.4 billion. That's 2,400 million. Because a billion is 1,000 million. And Joe Biden, $9 million. Gosh.
Only 9?
Yeah, oh yeah, only 9? Poor Joe Biden. I almost want to. So should we take up a collection and help poor President Biden get himself out of the poorhouse? Not that much. Not that much has changed since the ancient world. Money and power are still very closely connected, which means those of us that don't have piles and piles and piles of money have to be very intentional about how we work to forge our own destinies, because it doesn't happen automatically. What happens automatically when you ain't got giant piles of cash is somebody else forges your destiny for you. They don't have a green laurel wreath on their head, and they don't call themselves Caesar anymore, but you better believe it's still going on. Here's where the power and here's where the money came from. What you're looking at here, this is the Roman Empire as it was in the year 117. In 117, that was its greatest extent, the largest it ever got. So all these, he didn't ruin it, but he stopped expanding. He stopped focusing on expansion. I don't know if just looking at a map with no context, I don't know if it jumps out at you how big this area is, how diverse this area is. This is one massive mega state. You got England, you got Egypt, under the same flag. Two very different places, very different cultures, very far away from each other, all part of the same empire. You've got Spain and Syria, two very distant, very different places. Israel and Italy, very distant, very different, all under the same mega state. And when you're running a mega state, when you're running an empire, so I'm the emperor, all right? I'm the emperor, and I say, okay, Manny, Liam, Vlad, Leah, your territory is now my territory. I'm looking to take care of their best interest, right? I've conquered you. I'm sorry. I just spit all over you. Best wishes. I'll stand back. I'm looking out for your best interest, right? I'm a conquering emperor. You're my colonies. I'm the colonizing power. I'm looking out for you. No. I basically stick a tube in the ground and suck all the resources out of your territories and into my pockets. That's why you build empires. That's why you colonize. You don't colonize to make other people feel good. You colonize to give yourself more wealth and power. And most often we pursue the power because the wealth comes along with it. Now, so you've probably heard the term the West or Western civilization thrown around from time to time. Here's what the West is. Here's what that means. Western civilization, and here's why we still talk about Rome today. Western civilization includes nations that were part of the Roman Empire, except for those nations that went on to become dominantly Islamic. So except for the Middle Eastern or Islamic nations that were part of the Roman Empire, and those colonized or evangelized and transformed by former parts of the Roman Empire. So, if the countries were part of the empire or were later conquered by former parts of the empire. So Britain was part of the empire. It's part of the West. Ireland was not part of the empire, but it's colonized by Britain and transformed. What language do they speak in Ireland? English. Yeah. There is an Irish language. It's almost dead. All right. They speak the language of the colonizers. So a country is Western if it was part of the empire or if it was colonized or evangelized. Now, what's evangelized mean? You ever hear that word, evangelism? Pascal says an incomplete form. That's not quite it. Evangelism is the spread of Christianity.
So everywhere.
Now, yeah, so now, why would the spread of Christianity have anything to do with Rome? Because it doesn't for the longest period of the classical world. But here in the last century of the Western Empire, Christianity became the official religion of Rome, year 380. When the empire collapses, 96 years later, that math is probably terrible, Christianity continues to spread, and now the Christians are bringing Roman culture with them. So, if you were part of the empire, or you're colonized, or evangelized.
Students, please pardon the interruption. This is announcements regarding lunches. Middle school lunches. When first lunch arrives via scheduled lunch, you will enter the cafeteria and take a seat and wait for the instructions. Second and third lunch, please wait for the announcement to transition to lunch to make sure that we have the cafeteria cleared out, clean, and then we'll move that way. Thank you, and have a great day.
Oh, we'll be fine. All right. So when Christianity continues to spread, Roman culture continues to spread. So here's Ireland. What's the dominant religion of Ireland? Christianity, and a specific form of Christianity. Roman Catholic Christianity. Why is it called Roman Catholic Christianity? Because the Roman Catholic Church is the official state church of the Western Roman Empire. Whereas the Greek Orthodox Church, so these are your two largest Christian bodies in the world. The Greek Orthodox Church and its sister churches, including the Russian Orthodox Church, are the official state church of the Eastern Roman Empire. To this day, so much of our culture is defined by this ancient empire. So when we're talking about this empire, even if we're not from any of these places, or if our ancestors aren't from any of these places, our world has been so impacted and formed by this empire that its story continues to be our story as a human people. We talk about the West, Western culture. Anything that's light blue, dark blue, or purple in this is the West. So these are the parts of the world most impacted today by the Roman Empire. And we're in there, even though Rome fell 1,000 years before anybody on that side of the world knew we were here. And yet, we are part of this West defined by the Roman Empire. Notice that it's not even totally based on geography. Australia, New Zealand, it's about as far east as you can get. But it's still part of the Western mega culture. And there are other mega cultures on Earth, sub-Saharan African mega culture, Islamic or Middle Eastern mega culture, Hindu, Buddhist. Japan sort of does its own thing. Where's Greece fit in? Well, it's because of this dude, Alexander. What is Alexander the Great known for? Conquering. And as he built, so this is about 300 BC, so long before the rise of the Roman Empire. When he builds his empire, he heads east, and he makes it all the way into India. He conquers Afghanistan. We've been at war in Afghanistan your entire lives. Why have we been at war in Afghanistan your entire lives with no swift victory? Because the last guy to win in Afghanistan was Alexander the Great. When Alexander conquers this empire, he spreads Greek culture everywhere he goes. And it's Greek culture and Greek ideas that influenced the world the most, including the rising Roman Empire. When Rome emerges and conquers what used to be Alexander's territory, Rome then soaks up Greek ideas like a sponge. And that's why we talk about the two peoples, the Greeks and the Romans, together in classical studies. And from them both, we have inherited so much that is important to us. We've inherited their political traditions. Democracy, we get that from the Greek city-state of Athens. We've inherited their way of storytelling. To this day, our stories are still inspired by their stories. Their stories are still the foundations of our stories. Their educational system, liberal arts, servile arts, we talk about that in humanities class. We may not use those terms every day, but we still divide our curriculum up in the same basic categories they did in ancient Rome. And here you have Roman schools. Not much looks different. In fact, this guy even looks like he's playing on his phone. I don't know what he's actually supposed to be doing. He's not listening to his teacher. None of this is to say, as much as we have to learn from Greece and Rome, none of this is to say that they were flawless. None of this is to say that the heritage they left for us is only positive. They've given us good, true, and beautiful things, but they've given us ugly things. And we have also followed in their ugly footsteps. So, the Greek and Roman tradition of oppression and barbarity, of celebrating power and celebrating violence, of handing over to those in power the right to do as they will to the rest of us. It is also a Greek and Roman tradition. And if we want to understand what it is we see when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we've got to understand the ghost of Hadrian and his predecessors, the leaders of Greece and Hadrian Rome. We'll explore all of this. The great hero Achilles, hero of the Iliad, figure from Greek myth, had a choice. The gods told him, you could live a long, healthy, quiet life. You'll die, and the world will forget that you ever lived. Or you can accomplish great things, and you'll be remembered and celebrated for the rest of time. But you're going to die young. And Achilles had to struggle with that choice. I wonder what we would choose if given the same choice. Think about that. I've only got a minute to show you this next thing. But that kind of choice of Achilles, that was the choice that that the people in power in Rome made. If you were to just look, this is just a Wikipedia list of Roman emperors. Gives you their name, life details. All right, so Augustus died of natural causes. Tiberius, natural causes. Caligula, murdered. Claudius, murdered by his wife. Nero, suicide. Good times. Galba, murdered. The next one, suicide. The next one, tortured and murdered. The next one, natural causes. Lucky dude. Next one, two lucky natural causes in the world. Domitian, assassinated. Nerva, stroke. Okay, cool. Good news. Natural causes, natural causes, natural causes, natural causes. These are the 5 good emperors, they're called. Natural causes, and then strangled to death in his bath. And then murdered by the guards, and executed by the Senate. Natural causes, murdered, executed, murdered, thrown into the river after murdered, lynched. All right, and that's just, look, we've got 200 years more of this, and it doesn't get any better. being emperor didn't only give you power, it was almost certainly a death sentence. So it tells us something about what people valued. Why would you risk that? Unless that power, that honor, that memory for years to come was the most important thing to you. Tomorrow we talk about how the Cambridge projects and Cambridge exam works.
This place stinks of corruption. Shots fired confirm assumption. Everyone is evil in their own special way. This advice I'm giving you today. Walk around and light a bit, trying to make the pieces fit to a puzzle with a million missing pieces. When I'm feeling fine is when I discover that I'm afraid to blow my cover, and there's something very wrong with this. So slip back in your hole, or get back in your cave. If I'm going down, I'm taking someone with me.